Vlog Rig 1.0. Work in progress. Looking good. It is good for you. Testing 1, 2. What's crack-a-lacking, guys? How's it going? Good to see you guys. Another one. This one is really for the thanks and just kind of touching base. I really want to just say thank you for you guys really coming through. The love, the connection, the comments for the first video was really amazing. You know, it was a big leap of faith for me. As you can see, I did some interestingly weird things, but that's the science of it. Sometimes in being creative, there's so much fear. So it was a good experience. Apart from, you know, just having a conversation with you guys, I was able to also express my inner songwriter with the What's Up song. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, and when you click the bell, you go to all, so that, you know, YouTube will ensure that anytime I post a video, you will get it. So I guess the next question is, what happens to this channel and what is the direction? I really wanted to just kind of talk about that. Why are we here? What are we doing all this for? Why are you liking and subscribing? You know, sometimes I go through this mental gymnastic moment when I just think about life growing up in a small country, Sierra Leone, 7 million people. And I felt I was privileged more than the average person. My dad was just a working class guy. Him being a Halloway has a natural stigma. Somehow the Halloways in Sierra Leone were really successful, like doing big things. I mean, I had uncles that were very successful, you know, businessmen dealing with petroleum and all that. But my dad was kind of like that conservative Halloway. And I guess when I look at his lineage and where he comes from as well, I kind of can relate to that, because he was this lonely boy from a village called Rotifunk, who, according to the summary of the story, a Lebanese man back in the 40s who came to do business, mining and all that stuff, saw a beautiful woman in a village and they did stuff. And then when they did the stuff, he squaled and disappeared. And yeah, and that boy was my dad. So he was kind of raised by his uncles, and he had a very hard upbringing. He didn't do, I think, primary school. He was kind of self-taught. And then when he became of age to go to secondary school, his uncle sent him to boarding school. And boarding school in Sierra Leone, especially back in those days, was not necessarily flamboyant. I don't know how it is now. But yeah, so he went to a school called Albert Academy, which is one of the oldest schools there. It was like a boys' school, but they also have girls now. I say all this to say, I'm not going to sing this time, not today. But yeah, case in point is, my dad was not a rich man, but he had a work ethic because he came from poverty. So I think in that same mindset, he pushed to make sure that, like, me and my sisters had all the basic stuff. You know, he had good times when he used to work in some company called NTC, and then they closed down. And along that line, I remember one time when my mom literally had to tie yogurt. You know, like we call it ice. You tie yogurt, you make homemade yogurt, put them in these little nylon bags, and started selling it. She also started to cut soap. She made like bar soaps with caustic soda and all that with palm oil. All these things were kind of just to subsidize, to make sure that we have everything. Because while we were not rich, my dad and my mom kind of worked it out so that we would have the basics. You know, like my dad was somebody who had a very content mind, and he invested money when he had it. So he has a 2-story house, which we all grew up in Kintom. And the irony is, this place is literally in the Kintom police barracks. That's where I grew up. So there was this interesting parallel of me being the butty kid, or the kid that seemed like he was, you know, posh, because yeah, I didn't have to do the hard labor things, but just right outside my doorstep, a few steps, was the police barracks. And the children there, some of them couldn't wear shoes to go to school. Some of them, it was so hot, you know? So that did something interesting to me. he kind of gave me a perspective. And while you were a kid, you don't really know what it's doing to you, but subconsciously it built an awareness because my closest friends were the boys just outside my small veranda. And ironically, they were stronger, they were fitter. I was eating quote unquote more nourishing foods, but I wasn't a quarter of the physical strength and mental strength that they had. And that was the irony. I went to a good uh, preschool. It was called Halloway Kindergarten, and it was kind of a posh school. Even as a kid, 4 or 5 years old, I still remember the swing. And I remember it being like a very interracial school because there were like some expatriates and NGOs who had their kids there. So it was a really nice school. I think that was put together by some Sierra Leoneans from the diaspora who just loved education and wanted to bring kind of that level. And that gave me a certain exposure. But then, ironically, when I went into primary school, I went to a government primary school. So I kind of dealt with the environment of being in a school where there were strikes. It wasn't a posh school, as I say, government schools, local schools. Then John is the name of the school. And then one of our neighbors who was a teacher used to teach in a school called International School. And International School was like the cool kids school. It was like a private school, international school, right? The kids who maybe their dads were bank governors, police commissioners and all that. My mom was a policewoman. Funnily, my mom joined the police force when she was young, back in the 70s. My mom, in her history was not from a wealthy family. My mom also grew up in poverty. My mom, I don't think, even went to university. So she had her own insecurities, but she was very creative and artistic. And she was one of the first female lead guitarists in Sierra Leone who had a medal from one of the former presidents, Shaka Stevens. I need to find that picture. I need to do a little rest her soul. She's not with me now, but I would love to kind of go back into history and find those things because those were golden moments. It's just, Africa, we tend not to celebrate our greats. But my mom, for somebody who didn't have all the accolades of, academia, achieved so many milestones for herself. So, case in point, I have been blessed to be in a place, an environment that literally next door to me, I could see the poverty, kids with no shoes on their feet, eating rice with palm oil or just to manage to get by. Went to a nice private preschool, went to a government school, had regular, normal, non-rich friends. And then while I was getting ready to go into secondary school, through the neighbor, I got to do some summer school lessons in one of the teachers of this international school's place. And then I met all these rich kids. And weirdly, while in my own home circle, I was the cool kid who had excesses. When I went into that environment, I was like the broke kid, insecure, who didn't have the LA lights or had the Nintendo Super NES. So, why am I saying all this? What this did to me as a whole was it helped me to see different perspectives of life and appreciate the little I had, but also understand hardship in a different way. Because even as I grew up and, went to the UK, that's when my hardship started. The foundation that my parents gave me, of course, made my childhood years kind of smooth. But then after the whole war thing happened and I started to get my own traumas in life, and then I went to the UK, then I understood life differently. Then I had to work the 3 jobs. I worked in McDonald's, JJB Sports. I don't even think JJB Sports is around anymore. I worked in Debenhams doing merchandising. Merchandising is really just a cool word for you to go there 4 a.m. to stack shelves, basically. I worked in a bar, washed glasses. It was a long grind of ups and downs and things not going exactly how I wanted. But in that journey, I found so much character and so much balance. So all these things and all these experiences from childhood to now as a man, I have this longing to be able to do something that impacts where I'm coming from. Again, this channel, I'm hoping is going to evolve. It's going to grow. The natural dynamics of growth, i.e. sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. While all those things are happening, for me, the purpose doesn't really change. The purpose is really to be able to be in a position of influence and access so that, I could do great things. Sierra Leone doesn't have any film schools. Sierra Leone has a music academy called Balanta Music Academy, which has been there since maybe the 80s or 90s and has just been an evolution of a very small kind of niche thing that a few passionate people are trying to do. But in terms of world standards, it's really not equipped. You know, I self-taught myself to shoot. I self-taught myself about shutter speeds and lenses and all that kind of stuff. And thank God for YouTube. YouTube has been such a blessing because it just gives you a platform where there's so much information that you can draw. While I may not be able to right now go and set up an academy for film and arts and music, I would love to take a couple of my friends maybe from here and collaborate with some of the greatest minds in Sierra Leone and kind of spearhead like a little a symposium or a seminar or like a couple of days of just impacting young people, and maybe just do like a little scholarship thing where we're giving them an opportunity to maybe travel, create these opportunities for even education and stuff like that. But even before I can do that magnitude, the least I can do is to be able to not be disconnected. I want to be able to show people how to, just like with this rig I did and how I'm making things efficient. How do I shoot stuff? How do I edit stuff? How do I get my audio to sound decent? How do I conceptualize the things I do? Even with music, how do I get inspired? And just show people simple techniques to be creative. It's so easy to evolve and grow, and then the next minute you're forgetting that you're from that place where kids didn't have shoes on their feet or didn't even have the opportunity to get a broad-based education that just gives them an enabling environment. Speaking of environments, the other day I was just thinking, for Lewis Hamilton to be who Lewis Hamilton is, he had to come from a place. In fact, let's do this. Oh, Janice, how old was Lewis Hamilton when his dad started taking him to go-karting, or basically starting the whole driving?
Lewis Hamilton was 8 years old when his dad, Anthony Hamilton, started taking him to go-karting. That's when his journey into racing began.
Thanks, Janice.
You're welcome, Anis, but it's Janice, remember?
I did say Janice.
Oh, my bad, Anis. I for Don here wrong. Thanks for catching that. So, anything else you want gist about?
Just that. I just wanted to know that. I'm trying to vlog right now. I'm talking to my people on YouTube, and I just wanted to get a quick fact to kind of make a case in point.
Oh, nice one. You dare use Lewis Hamilton's story to drop some motivation vibes or what? Make sure you hit them with the passion. Dem, go feel am. How the vlog did go so far.
Okay, Janice, I'll talk to you later. That was my personal assistant getting a bit excited. I don't know what she's doing. She's trying to mimic my Creole. I kind of spoke Creole to her the other day. But anyway, yeah. Now for Lewis Hamilton to have the opportunity to go and do go-karting, there had to be a proper organized environment where there was a facility called go-karting. So it begs the question, how many potential world champions are dying in Africa, Sierra Leone precisely, or even Nigeria, that because there is no real structure for certain things, children end up being forced into 3 streams: science, arts. The arts is like history and all that kind of stuff, to do law or to go do broadcasting. And then the other one is, what was the other stream? And something else I've forgotten. There's so much talent, like sometimes recently I was just checking online and I saw like some young boys creating and engineering like things, connecting motors and building like a mini craft. Imagine if they had like a whole science club that gave them all the parts and all the servos. Fast forward into the future, they could be astronauts. They could be making groundbreaking discoveries. But our ancestors have failed us. I know I'm babbling a bit, but these are the things that keep me awake at night. And so when I'm here doing this, it's more than the clicks. It's more than just, oh, I'm gonna have 1 million views. For me, it's to what end? Just like when Banaba was like, if you don't do the thing and you don't achieve it, you go explain to her. I don't want to have all this talent just to be explaining. So really, the achievements, the places we're gonna go, the content that will come out of this channel, and by God's grace, the sponsorships and whatever growth and expansion comes with this channel, scaling within reason, is gonna be really to go back there and help those kids. And that brings it straight back to you. So that's why you're liking. That's why you're subscribing. That's why you're sharing. You know, let's do this together. Let's build this channel together. And let's make impact together. Yeah. My back is aching now. That chair is calling me. I think we've had enough depth for one shot. Let me readjust. Much better. So, in general, I feel that the vision is clear. It's not easy sometimes, but you guys make it all worth it. So I just want to thank you. Okay, so this doesn't drag on too long. I guess that's it. It's late. Let's do it again. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Don't forget to click the notification bell and click all so that you get all the stuff. And we're doing it. I'll see you soon. Peace out.